from this area made an excursion. And I call it the Turtle Mountain Trail of Tears because we have allotments here on the reservation. We have a lot in Belcourt, in the Turtle Mountain area, and we have allotments still in the Pembina area. We have allotments at Graham's Island in Fort Totten. We have allotments all the way around Fort Berthold. We have allotments down in the southwestern part of the state along the border of Montana and North Dakota. And we have allotments surrounding the Fort Peck Indian Reservation in Montana. And we have allotments surrounding the Fort Belknap Reservation in Montana. And we have allotments surrounding the Rocky Boy Reservation out in Montana. Why? Because in the treaty, Article 6, it says they will be given allotments and treated as if they were on the reservation. Now, a lot of people think that Indian people are dumb, but they're not. Because the way they settled out there and surrounded them reservations was that, hey, look, to be treated as if on the reservation, if they were hungry and whatnot and needed some commods or whatever that they would in need of, rations, they would be able to go to that local agency and have to be served because they were to be served as if they were on the reservation. So we have Turtle Mountain allotments in 11 Bureau of Indian Affairs agencies. We have allotments in 3 states, Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. We have 25,000 acres of allotments around Fort Peck, about 40,000 around Fort Belknap and Rocky Boy, and we have something like 45,000 here at Turtle Mountain. All of these acreages are in trust in the United States government. Those people that got those allotments were protected by the United States government to be as if they were going to be a supervised sale if there was ever a sale. So today they are still in trust, and that's my responsibility, is to make certain that if a farmer, no matter whether he's in Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, rents that piece of land, it has to be collected and distributed to all the owners of that piece of property. And in some pieces of property, I've found that there are approximately 1,800 people involved because generation after generation, it's called fractionated interest. That's my explanation.
So what is a trust then?
The trust is the United States government oversees any kind of a sale or any kind of an incursion on that piece of property on behalf of that Indian person designated as an owner through heirship.
So can they lose their land, or
No.
does the land stay?
You can never lose your land unless you willingly step forward and sell it. And then, in a lot of instances, in the old days, some of the people sold their land. But we can't go back in history and say, hey, look, Grandma was senile or Grandpa was senile. Who are we to judge?
So the land stays with the families when they die, or is it willed in, or
it can be either willed. There's 2 processes of turning your land over as it is in trust, so that it doesn't become taxable, and then the Indian loses it because of a forfeiture of taxes, because that's generally how they would have lost it, because they didn't have a wherewithal to pay the taxes. Okay, so there's 2 processes. One is that the Indian can have a gift deed to a family member of their property. They can leave it in a will to someone, or they can pass on without a will, but the judge that will hear the case will determine that the land will be separated amongst the heirs, which are the mother, father, and the siblings. That's how it's done. It's plain and simple.
So when you say the McCumber Agreement, what did the people receive from that? Was that considered the 10-cent treaty as well? Or?
Well, the McCumber Commitment was actually the ratification of that treaty. And the ratification of that treaty by 2/3 of the Senate, which is the McCumber Agreement process that went back and reported, Senator McCumber reported to his colleagues that this is what we need to do to make this right, and it got done. So what happened is that the agreement itself said that they were going to give a certain amount of dollars for certain properties, okay, which actually amounted to what we call today a 10-cent treaty, because for 1 million acres, we approximately received 10 cents an acre.
And then what was the Cobell lawsuit about?
The Cobell lawsuit was a lawsuit brought by concerned Native people that felt that the United States government over the years had not financially protected those Indian people in a proper manner, and that the financial accounting was not, quote, proper, and the government accepted the fact that they probably did not keep the best interest at hand, and agreed to a settlement. And the settlement became known as the Cobell Settlement. And with that Cobell, it was an attempt by the government to make right those wrongs that occurred in the past, and to put people at at a level back to fixing it. In other words.
So is that all that we got for our treaty? Is pretty much just a payment for the land for downsizing us, or how did they subject us for what land we got?
Well,
was it on a degree of Indian blood, or was it just
no,
everybody from family generations?
well, you got to remember there's 5 groups involved in this. So, everyone that was an enrolled member of the Turtle Mountain Tribe, born before December 31st, 1982, and enrolled, living, received payment called a per cap payment from the interest and the growth of that original agreement on that 10 million acres. So that's how everybody got their what they call per cap treaty payment. The landless Indians were a separate group, and they shared equally as to what the Turtle Mountain people did. The Little Shell people, they still haven't been recognized, but they still have money set aside for them should they ever become recognized, and they will share in what the government has been investing for them. And White Earth, which is a sister tribe to us, and there were some tribal members that decided to go White Earth at the process of the Pembina Treaty. So, and then there were Pembina descendants that declared they were not enrolled members of any tribe, but they were a Pembina descendant, and they received a payment. A little intricate difference was that the Turtle Mountain people decided that they would only give out 80% of that per capita to individuals, and that 20% would be left invested for the use of the full tribe in an administrative sense, and only the interest accrued off of that 20% would be utilized for governmental affairs and economic development. Okay. And yours truly played a role in that.
Well, thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.
And that's Richard Jiggers Lafromboise.
Yes.